Well, what's going on? I'm just kind of going for a walk today, and I used to do this route playing Pokemon Go. I used to, like, on my lunch break or at work, I would take little walks to get a little bit of exercise. And I'm not really a big Pokemon person, but my kids are really into it, and they kind of got me into it, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I would do this route all the time and play Pokemon Go, and it was kind of a dual purpose. It was some mild entertainment, and it also got me some exercise. So I always thought that was pretty cool. Problem is, kind of got sick of Pokemon Go. Like, I think pretty much done with it. I only really open it anymore like if my kids ask me to, or if somebody says, hey, there's something really cool in this area. I'll do it just to kind of show them off. I'm like, look what I found today, guys. So, so since I'm not doing that anymore, I still wanted to, go for little walks and stuff. So, and it got me thinking about gaming. So I figured I'd go live and just talk to you guys about around, that X-Wing FAQ leak. Here's what I'm going to say about that. First off, my initial thought was, well, we don't even know if it's true, but apparently I've heard that it's kind of been verified that I guess the source is legit. First off, I agree with what Paul Heaver said, is that when people do things like that, they put the entire playtester community at risk, because FFG may eventually stop playtesting. And then what would happen if all of a sudden stuff wasn't playtested? You just trust FFG to get everything right on the first try? So I think that puts everybody in jeopardy. It's definitely interesting stuff, though. As far as the content, it sucks when things get hard errated, and I've always kind of hated that. But I think the Jump Master was broken from the get-go. The only thing that gets me, though, is the Scourge is like just as bad, So I'm like, you're just changing the meta, swapping out the Jump Master for the Scourge, right? I don't know. I mean, not exactly. I know, and I understand there's a distinction. It's different, but yeah, it's pretty rough. But yeah, so I'm not a big fan of leakers. But I don't know. That's a little hypocritical of me, because many years ago I overheard something and ended up talking about it and kind of did the same thing, although it was mostly accidental. But this guy knew exactly what he was doing. He did it blatantly. So there's definitely a difference. But yeah, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for us as players to be leaking stuff like that, and it's not a good thing for FFG. I've even been told that there's always a chance that if the wrong thing were to get leaked, like let's say some kind of new detail about an upcoming movie. Let's say there was a new ship coming out and somebody leaked that, that before Lucasfilm had allowed it to be released, then they could potentially lose the license and our whole game could go away. Now, this isn't a case where it's that damaging, but it still represents that type of risk. So I'm not a big fan of the leakers, although the information is certainly interesting, but I'm pretty upset with that dude, Squad-focused momentum shift in Armada. I don't know. The last wave didn't have any new squads, so some of them, I guess it did have the new carrier, right? The Quasar was pretty good carrier. I've never been a big fan of the squadrons in Armada, but I am definitely a fan of the game as a whole, and I recognize that they need to be there. They're a part of the game. I would like to see more, like maybe at least 2 more waves without a lot of new squadrons, but I don't think that's realistically going to happen. But it just seems like every wave has so much of a focus on something that can only be 1/3 of your list. Trust FFD to get something right the first time is like asking my friend not to use Rhymer. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even some things slip through playtesting, so it's not even a guaranteed thing. But I don't know. So this got me thinking about all kinds of different games. Actually, so funny thing is, I actually just did a podcast last night with the Devil's Due podcast, and that will be it should be coming out on the 2nd of August. So if you want to check that out, go to thedevilsdue.podcast.com, and that's D-U-E, the devil, TheDevilsDue podcast.com. And they have all their other podcasts up there, but I did one with them, and that should be coming out on the 2nd of August. And there was some discussion about gaming in general, and it kind of got me thinking about just other types of games, because I do so much Star Wars, X-Wing and Armada, that I don't do as much other gaming. So and I kind of have more of a focus, or I want to have a little bit more time to play other games, because there's so many other really cool games. So actually just the other day I played Rebellion, and man, if you haven't played Rebellion, that's such a great game. And it's not one of those games where you have to have your own stuff. You just need one box and you can play it, because there's an expansion coming out pretty soon for Rebellion. But it's totally Star Wars in a box, and every game is totally different. Like I was the Rebels, and I won. But man, the Empire blew up Mon Calamari, because I was building Mon Calamari ships like crazy out of there with the Death Star, and they took over Chewbacca. Like the Emperor actually converted Chewbacca to the dark side, and then he became like a full-blown Imperial. Like, and it was so bad. It was so bad. So then I had to bring Han Solo in, and Han Solo has an ability to try to recruit Chewbacca, but I couldn't because he was an enemy. So I had to recruit Lando instead. And there was even this epic showdown where we were going to take over Corellia, and Chewbacca stopped Han Solo. And there's so much narrative you can add when you're playing Rebellion, but you create your own story every time you're playing. So it's a magnificent game, like one of the best board games I've ever played. So I love it. It's just fun. Even if you lose, you have so much of a good time when you're playing it, because you can just do epic things. I did make an attack run on the Death Star, and I missed. So it's like but cool stuff. But man, I've got some really cool board games coming too. So I'm actually getting ready to take a trip. Work is sending me to Kansas City for possibly 3 weeks, and so I'm gonna have a lot of time away from my family and away from the kids and stuff, and that's bittersweet, because like a couple of days would be great, but 3 weeks is a little bit longer than I thought. So I've been looking up gaming stores in Kansas City, and I may go play some might actually bring some of my minis with me and go play some X-Wing and Armada, or at least Armada, because I want to get more Armada time in. But yeah, so that's exciting. It'll be interesting playing with new people. There's some, I'm hearing that. I've been looking into it, and I just joined a Facebook group for it. So, and I think there's actually a tournament next Saturday. I think it's not a store championship. It's just a regular tournament, but it'd be cool to kind of show up and see what a different meta is like too, because I've been playing so much in Orlando that, but playing in a whole different place would be pretty cool. So that's going on. I started playing, or at least I bought into this Dragon Ball Z card game. And I did it more as just a nostalgic kind of throwback, but it seems like it's a pretty solid game. I haven't played it yet, but it seems pretty cool. And I'm going to bring that with me. Maybe I'll play a little bit of that. I have a friend up there who I'm going to teach it to. But man, so many cool Kickstarters coming. So Massive Darkness I've got coming. Should be shipping within the next week or two. I would hate for it to arrive here in Florida while I'm in Kansas City, and then my wife will send me a picture of all these boxes, because I'm going to do an unboxing video of that for you guys. It's amazing. So what Massive Darkness is it's like, think Diablo, the video game. It's a dungeon crawl. It's cooperative. You're going against the AI system. The monster spawn, sometimes real big monster spawn, boss monsters. And any elite or boss monster also spawns with equipment, kind of like how you get in Diablo or any kind of dungeon crawl hack and slash game like that. And if it's an equipment they can use, they use it against you. So it's just so cool. And so you kill them, you take the loot, and then you use it against the other minions. And it's also got campaign play. Disc Wars review. Isn't that game dead? I actually saw Disc Wars at Dice Tower Con. Whoa, loud bus going by, sorry. No, I saw Disc Wars at Dice Tower Con in a scratch and ding and dent, but I thought it was dead. I saw some people playing it 4 years ago, and I haven't seen anybody playing it in a long time. Yeah, so I took a look at Armada under Tabletop Simulator, and it looks like it's done really well. I just couldn't figure out how to use the maneuver tool, so maybe one of these days I'll actually sit down and trying to find somebody to actually teach it to me. But lately I feel like I've had so much stuff going on. I haven't actually been doing that many videos lately, and I haven't been doing I'm trying to do an interactive battle sim that's going to be coming out soon. So stay tuned for that, but I think I might have to do that after I get back from Kansas City, because videos like that take a long time, because it turns YouTube into like a little game that you play through. So I'm going to try and do that, but more details on that to follow. But Massive Darkness is coming soon. That one's going to be really cool. Zombicide Black Plague, or rather Zombicide the Green Horde is another one. Cooperative. It's going to have dragons in it. That one's going to be really cool. I mean, Cool Mini or Not makes great games. Rising Sun, which is based on the game Diplomacy. Rune Wars, okay, yeah, the Latari Elves. I'm not going to get the Latari Elves, at least not until they go on crazy sale. One of the problems is, Rune Wars is in a place right now where Armada was and X-Wing was when they were brand new. And what I mean by that is, every time you play them, it's the same thing. Same thing over and over and over again. Like, you're gonna go to a tournament, and you're gonna see everybody's got the same builds, because there's not that much diversity right now. And not that there's anything, like, that's natural. I'm not condemning them for that. That's just the state of a game when it's early. So I don't like to play like just the same list over and over again. Like, I try very hard to never play the same list twice. And you kind of, I mean, granted, you have a little bit of flexibility with a few different upgrades, but yeah, it's rough. I just hate playing the same list twice, and every time I play Rune Wars, it feels like I'm playing the same list twice. Now, I do have both the humans and the undead in Rune Wars, so I haven't really messed with the undead. So I'm down for a couple more games of Rune Wars before I like put it on the shelf for a year or so. But I mean, because it's a solid game. It's not bad at all. I like it, and they've done some nice things with it. Yeah. No, the upgrades don't really seem that great. Some of them are cooler than others, but I agree with you. But Rune Wars it's a fun game. It's a solid game. Once they come up with more new units for each faction, and the problem right now is like 4 different factions, you can, like, a lot of them have some carryover where you can borrow a unit from another faction and add them, so it's getting some list diversity that way, but it's just not enough. Armada was in this place for a long time, because you had once the Star Destroyer and stuff came out, you had this huge gap between Wave 2 and Wave 3 and 4. It was like a year, and Armada was just, everything was the same thing over and over again. And I hated that. It was a really bad time for Armada. That's when all the jokes about Armada is dead. X-Wing had the same problem, but I was fortunate that I didn't have to go through it, because I started playing X-Wing when Wave 3 was out. So I already had a pretty good amount of stuff. And then Wave 4 came out, and the huge ships and the Aces packs were coming out. And like for a while, X-Wing was in like full hype mode. And there was a new release coming out like every month or two. So it was amazing. Even if it was a small release in between waves. So like, boy, it was a bad time for me to get into X-Wing. But I missed some of the comments there. Well, let me see if I can see them. No, it's not going to show me. Sorry, if I miss your comment as it flies up, I just type it up again. But yeah, let's see what else is coming out. Video games. There's also video games. I'm gonna be bringing some video games with me, because on the airport. Got the Nintendo Switch, so I bought that for a couple of reasons. I love the fact that it's local multiplayer. I think that's just amazing. Like couch co-op, that sort of thing. Like I don't know how many of you, well, how old everybody is, but do you remember sitting around the couch doing 4-player split screen on the Nintendo 64, playing GoldenEye or Mario Kart 64 or things like that? Like, that was a very informative part of my childhood, my teenage years, doing that with friends. And the Switch seems like that was the goal of the system, is to kind of recapture that feel. And Zelda is like honestly, like the new Zelda game is like one of the greatest games of all time. It's amazing, but so I picked up this game called Splatoon 2 for the Switch, and I was really disappointed to find out it's a single-player game. You mean it has online multiplayer, but it doesn't have local. It doesn't have a split screen option. It's local single-player only, and I was so disappointed by that, because I got ready to play it with one of my kids, and I'm like, all right, here, grab the controller. Why isn't it working? What's going on? And it was acting weird, and I'm like, oh. And I looked at the box, and it's just single-player. Okay, all right, sorry about that. I'm using my phone to stream, and I just got a phone call, and I didn't know if it interrupted the stream or not. But yes, so I'm pretty disappointed with Splatoon 2, because it's single player only. Kind of a bummer. But yeah, so let's see what else is new. what else are we going to talk about? Got the podcast coming up on the 2nd of August. Battlefront 2 is getting close. If you guys read the books, have you seen the Raider, the Imperial Raider, and the whole storyline for Inferno Squad? I started reading Inferno Squad, although I've been kind of slow. I'm only like maybe 4 chapters in right now on the audiobook, but it's pretty cool. You've got the lovely Janita Gavankar, who is narrating it and doing a pretty good job. But yeah, so there's that. So far seems pretty interesting though. I can't wait to play this game. I think that it really feels to me like EA has put a lot more into this game, and I think if the first Battlefield was rushed, this one definitely is not rushed. Seems awesome. Then again, I really shouldn't get my hopes up because it might be terrible, but I'm gonna be optimistic, and it's gonna be Star Wars. It looks too big in the trailer. I don't know, it is kind of big. It's the size of a Corvette. You know, look at your X-Wing stuff. That CR90 and your X-Wing stuff is half size. So the actual scale, it would be twice as big. So, you know, think about that. But, yeah, it could be pretty big. But either way, it's a beautiful ship. And I can't wait to see what it's like to, if you get to pilot it in the game. I don't think that you will. I think you'll get to pilot TIE fighters, but I don't think you'll get to pilot the Raider. Let's see, what else? Have you guys read any good books lately? I have been reading the Dresden Files. And the Dresden Files are about this wizard who lives in Chicago and he works as a private investigator, and it's pretty cool, kind of a noir and blending with, I don't know, like just sword and sorcery kind of thing meets Chicago detective. That one's pretty fun. And that's about it. But it's pretty interesting. I'm going to Kansas City for 3 weeks. It may be less than that. It's scheduled for 3 weeks, but it may be earlier. It's just so weird. Like, I was so ready to just have a small vacation, and this is going to turn out into a much longer trip than I thought, and I am sure I'm going to be a wreck, and I'm going to really miss my kids and my family and my wife by the time I'm, like, even at halfway through it. I'm going to be ready to come home. But I'm looking forward to actually getting some games in. I'm definitely gonna try to find a way to, I have to check some luggage too, so I don't know what I'll be able to pack, but I'm gonna try and pack some of my Armada stuff. X-Wing stuff is a little more like the pieces are thinner. Like the Armada ships are like more hardcore. Like I could bring a Mon Calamari cruiser and it's just gonna be it's like a brick. But like I bring an X-Wing or a B-Wing and the guns are gonna break, so I'm like, I don't know, I gotta figure stuff is gonna get rattled around. Have you ever traveled, like, do you go to like Worlds or Gen Con or anything like that with your minis and like, and travel with them and check them? Like, I mean, I imagine you have to keep it in a carry-on. So if I have to do carry-on, it's gonna definitely limit what I can bring. But yeah, that would be rough. Maybe pack it in bubble wrap or something. Or just get I don't want to get like I have good enough storage for 99% of my life, so I don't want to buy a whole nother storage solution just for this one trip, because I don't travel enough that I think I need to buy something. But yeah, so that's about it. That's everything that's been going on today. So I guess I will just let you guys go, but yeah, I hope you have a great day. My videos may be a little bit more sporadic over the next couple of weeks, because I'm not going to have the whole setup that I normally have, but then again, at the same time, I might have more time, but I may do a lot more like live videos and just kind of open discussion. If I can get some games in Kansas City, then I will try to get some battle reports in, so that much will be fun. So stay tuned for some bat reps. I'll try to bring at least a list of X-Wing and a list of Armada so I can get some of each. Might even bring a Destiny deck, but yeah. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure you are subscribed, hit the little bell for alerts. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know, and I will talk to you later. Take it easy. Bye. How do we end? How do we sign off? What? Alright, well I'm going to try and close it. Finish, there we go.